Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today we're talking draft strategy for picks 9 to 12 in your fantasy football drafts. Just a few weeks away from the season starting, so what I'm going to be doing here is breaking down how you should be approaching each position in your fantasy drafts, what my overall strategy is, which really starts with how you approach the running back position, and then we will go into a mock draft from one of these spots and actually execute the strategy and building out my favorite team from these potential positions, these 4 spots here at the end of your draft, getting those turns. Usually I really like it. Last season I really loved having the back half of the first as my pick. This year I'm not as sold on it. It's probably the one I'm a little bit more concerned about, but I find that my favorite strategy this year at the running back spot is the hero RB strategy. But from this particular position, I think it's a really dynamic draft spot to have, and one that certainly you need to see how the draft falls to you and what your competition is doing and how they're approaching each position, because it can go in a few different directions. So with running back in particular, what I like to do is start with a guy like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is my favorite running back to go to as that potential hero RB. He is my RB4 on the season, so I am very excited what his fantasy outlook looks like. But there is a chance if you're at the 12 right at the turn there, you might not be able to get him. You might see, Saquon Barkley go fairly early, too early, and that kind of leaves a spot where Nick Chubb might be that next guy off the board. So if that is the case, what I'm most likely to do actually is look at a wide receiver start, because that means wide receivers are going to be falling to me. If Nick Chubb's not available at like the 110, that means running backs are going fairly early. I'm going to get 2 great receivers to start my draft. And then from there is where I kind of can make my exception on this, avoiding the running back position in rounds 3 to 6 with guys like Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones. If I can grab those 2 on the 3-4 turn, I'm feeling comfortable. Those are kind of my 2 exceptions for avoiding those running backs in rounds 3 to 6. I see upside there. The reason I like the hero RB strategy is I'm looking to get players that have the upside to finish top 3 at the position. I see that in Jones and Mixon. The reason I like to avoid running back and only look for one in the first 6 rounds is because I think there's far too much implied risk at the running back position. And really, I think, honestly, a lower hit rate year to year when it comes to the comparison of instead taking a wide receiver, instead taking a Travis Kelce at tight end, or instead taking a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes in round 2. In the later parts of round 2 or middle of round 2 compared to what running backs can do. I think there's just too much question marks. And for me, I don't have the mindset where I need to walk away with 3, startable running backs that are in my lineup or putting the 3rd running back in my flex. In PPR formats, I'm looking to put receivers in both of my flex spot if I've got 2 of them. Hopefully you guys do too. So that's how I'm going to be approaching things on the running back side. Guys, if you do enjoy today's video, if you're enjoying the advice we're getting for you in building out your draft, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. As we get you ready for the season, we'll have tons of fantasy content for you when it comes to starts at the receiver spot, running back rankings weekly, buy low, sell high targets, must start players, your waiver wire players to target, your waiver wire players to avoid and let your league mates take. So hit that subscribe button. Would appreciate it if you like the video too. And comment down below with some of the teams that you've been drafted. We'd love to see them. Receiver spot now. For receiver, this is a constant for me no matter the spot that I'm picking from. I'm looking to secure 3 to 4 receivers in the first 6 rounds. These are players that provide so much assured opportunity and honestly can be game script proof. You look at some running backs that, if the team's trailing by a ton early or all of a sudden falls behind significantly, they can't run the football. They've got to be running the ball, and this guy might not be in the field as much. Receivers, well, they're going to be on the field to build that lead, and teams aren't always running the football to kill games and end games and win those football games. They're still going to be looking to throw the football. So what I look to do is approach receiver and attack it early, and then by the later rounds, I can take flyers on guys like rookies or players that I think have sky-high upside but might have a little bit of risk, but I'm willing to take it on because I've really solidified the receiver spot. At tight end. Tight end is a position that it's really elite tight end or bust for me. I'm really not wasting my time, and I don't think it's a good use of draft capital to take guys like David Njoku, Pat Freiermuth, or Evan Ingram. I think there's far too much competition for targets. These guys aren't capable of being at that elite level, so I'm not going to draft them with the thought that, being able to return on their ADP, they need to be at the elite level. So I'm looking instead at the only player I'm looking at from this particular draft spot in 9 to 12 is going to be Darren Waller. Darren Waller going in around the 6th round. He's a player I'd look to target and build off of, but otherwise we're probably looking to take flyers on some tight ends at the end of my drafts. At quarterback, Quarterback is a position that I do like to look to the elite guys. I think you can grab, again, positional value is important here if you get him at the right ADP. And Lamar Jackson is one that really sticks out from this particular spot. Jackson is in round 3 where if I do have my hero RB, I don't love the players going around the back half of the third. So I do like taking Jackson as a player that I think has sky-high upside with this offense taking major changes. So he's a player that I'm looking to at the quarterback spot. But if I do start wide receiver like we talked about, I won't be taking Jackson. I don't think I can afford to make that investment and sacrifice, filling out at least one running back spot with some guy to anchor my team. So I've got to avoid him there. But if I do avoid him, ultimately I'm looking for stack opportunities. I'm looking to stack Darren Waller with Daniel Jones. I'm looking to take a Jordan Addison later and stack him with Kirk Cousins. Maybe I take him on Raw, which I'm likely to do here in our mock draft, and I'm going to stack him with Jared Goff. So that's what I'd be looking to do at the quarterback spot if I don't take Lamar Jackson. Let's get into the mock draft, and let's take this strategy that we're talking about and put it into use here and execute on one of these picks. All right, getting into the mock again. This is a 12-team league. We're looking at full PPR. I'm going to go from the 10 spot. I think this gives us the best chance to put this strategy into place. But really, ultimately, with what we're talking about, we can do it from everywhere. But I want to find myself in the middle where it gives us the opportunity to take any type of direction with these between these 4 picks, 9 to 12. Let's start the draft. Again, Nick Chubb is a player that I would ideally like to have at this spot. We'll see how things fall to me throughout. But ultimately, that's what I want to do is start running back. We see only 2 of the running backs. Bijan goes. Bijan would have been a perfect get for me at this spot. That would have been the dream if he could fall to me. In some of your leagues, there are people that don't believe in the rookies very much, especially in like an office league or more of a casual league. They might not be paying attention to what Bijan can be this year. But Nick Chubb is the next highest guy on my board, so Chubb will be my pick here. Yes, I'm passing on Saquon Barkley. I don't have the same belief that a lot of people do, so he'll be the guy for me here. And then we have a litany of backs, or a few backs here with Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, 2 players I'm definitely a little bit concerned about. So instead, what I'll be doing is reaching for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is my wide receiver 7 right now. I love the opportunity he has to start the season as well. The offense and the weapons haven't changed much. After Hawkinson left, he was on pace for 131 receptions, which would have only trailed would have beat Justin Jefferson last season. So it would have been number 1 at the position. So he's a player I love this year. Okay, we get to the 3 turn. I have pretty much exactly how I wanted to start. To be honest, Lamar Jackson sticks out here in this end of round 3 as the quarterback for me to target. Breece Hall, I love his talent, but that's not something I'm willing to take on coming off the ACL surgery. Adding Dalvin Cook kind of speaks volumes here. I'm not huge on Jahmyr Gibbs and his opportunity to score touchdowns, so I think his upside is limited. So that's why, again, you're not looking to take running backs unless you see the chance for them to finish as a top 3 to 5 guy at the position. I don't see that for Gibbs, so I'm going to go Lamar Jackson here to get that positional advantage at quarterback. And on the swing back, we have some options as a bunch of running backs go. Aaron Jones is someone I'm high on. I haven't done a lot of drafts with Calvin Ridley, so I think Ridley will be the player I look to go to. Yeah, I like the Jacksonville offense. It's either between him or Amari Cooper there, but I think I'll mix things up here in this one and go with Ridley and see how I like the build there. We'll look for a Lamar Jackson stack certainly later too, but right now I'm looking at this five spot to add another receiver, get our 3rd here of these 6 rounds, and then hopefully Darren Waller's a player that makes it back to me. At the wide receiver spot, my rankings have Chris Godwin higher than Jerry Jeudy, so I will go Godwin here. I like the volume that Godwin can get this season, and then it does make it back where we can go with Darren Waller. So we're getting positional advantages at 2 spots now. I love that. We've got 2 elite guys at the position. I think Waller is going to post probably a 28% target share I'm projecting this year. And the Giants will be a team that I think doesn't have the same amount of wins they did last year, so a few more game scripts to throw the ball in a fair bit too. So a really good start here where we get 2 positional advantages. We got our 3 wide receivers. We've got our hero RB in Nick Chubb. So now it's all gravy from here. James Cook falling to me. This does not typically happen in the 7th. He's my RB 16. I'm really high on him, so definitely my RB 2. I'm happy to have, and Jahan Dotson making it back. Another player I'm really confident in heading to this year. If you look at Matt Harmon's reception perception, he was an absolute beast as a route runner last year, and I do think this offense will be a little bit better with Howell and then with the coordinator change, really importantly with Bieniemy. And Dotson was a touchdown machine when he was on the field. So great start, really solid start here. And again, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to you take, you really solidify wide receiver, that now I can take a flyer on a receiver potentially. I could go to running back, but honestly, at this point, I'm just going to be taking a lot of flyers, handcuffs, guys that are set up as RB2s on the team, but I think could potentially have roles as the RB1. So for me, I'm going to take the upside here of Michael Thomas in this Saints offense. I think he's going to be the touchdown guy. I think Chris Olave not scoring touchdowns last year isn't just because of a poor offense. This offense didn't look to target him very much there, and I think the profile he has isn't suited to be a touchdown scorer. Thomas scored 3 touchdowns in 3 games. If he's healthy, I like his upside. Perine sticks out, with Javonte Williams coming off the injury. We have seen the ACL injuries have a pretty significant impact. Running back's going to be targeted a ton in this Joe Lombardi offensive scheme, the OC for the Broncos. We saw that with Austin Eckler with well over 100 targets, or well over 100 receptions available to backs last year in Los Angeles. So Perine will be my RB3. We've got the opportunity with a couple of backs here. I'm really solid at receiver. So this is where we really start to fill out the running back spots. And Raheem Mostert and Tank Bigsby are the 2 backs that really would be the ones I'd target. Mostert, I like to be the RB1 in Miami. He was valuable in that role last year. I think he's he's settled in as that top guy, and we'll see if Bigsby makes it back. He doesn't make it back. So we have Mostert as our RB4. Jalen Warren and Roschon Johnson are my next guys. Just see what we have left at wide receiver even. Romeo Doubs, Nico Collins. Okay, so I'm going to continue with another back here, and I'm going to go with Roschon Johnson. I think he has a bit of a leg here to be able to grab the receiving role. He did that at Texas. Herbert hasn't had that role at all in his career. Obviously, playing behind David Montgomery will impede into that. You saw him, catch a little screen for a touchdown in the preseason game. I don't really know how much that speaks to what he will do this season. So Johnson could carve out a little bit more of a role in a high-volume rushing offense. It's good. It's nice to not have to look at quarterback or tight end. Once you have each of those guys, please do not even consider for a moment taking any quarterback or tight end as backups. That's not worth your time. There's going to be guys in the wire on bye weeks to be able to replace these guys. Do not draft them to your team. What I will go with here is it's either Jalen Hyatt or a DJ Chark flyer. Yeah, we'll go with the DJ Chark flyer in that Panthers offense as a potential number 1 in a pretty muddy room. And then we'll close things out with another back, Chase Brown as the backup to Mixon, potential backup to Mixon. Zamir White is Kenneth Gainwell. We'll see what that role comes, what role comes out of what's been a lot of training camp hype. I think his ADP will probably be a little bit higher by the time we get closer to the year, but I'll take the flyer on the last pick. All right, so roster's built out. Honestly, as well executed as can be on this strategy. To be completely honest, I'm really happy with how this worked out. Lamar Jackson is the quarterback. Nick Chubb and James Cook as my starting running backs. Again, Nick Chubb being my hero RB in this strategy. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Calvin Ridley, 2 top options on 2 really solid, high-scoring offenses. Darren Waller to get us that positional advantage at tight end. And then we have Chris Godwin, high-volume receiver, to be able to fill out the first flex spot. Jahan Dotson as that second flex option, one that can score some touchdowns, and I think his role is bound to increase this year. We have the upside of Michael Thomas at the receiver spot in the New Orleans system, and then Samaje Perine, Raheem Mostert, Roschon Johnson, and Kenneth Gainwell as some flyer running backs to look at and stash on the roster, with DJ Chark as that second to last pick at the receiver spot on the off chance he grabs a decent role inside of this Panthers offense as that downfield threat. So that is the draft strategy and how to approach your draft when you're picking out a 9 to 12 in your 12-team leagues. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please do let me know. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications on, and tomorrow, league winners. We talk strategy for all these different roles or places in your draft. I'm talking about a bunch of guys here that I think are going to win you your league. The guys that I'm kind of putting my stamp on as ones you absolutely have to be targeting this year. So be sure to stay ready for that video coming tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.